Hey folks, it's Marvin Cash, the host of The Articulate Fly, and we're back with our first edition of The Spin in 2023 with Jim Bensinger. Jim, how are you?
Oh, I'm doing pretty good. How are you doing, Marvin?
As always, just trying to stay out of trouble. Was Santa Claus good to you?
Yeah, not too bad.
Oh, well, great. Well, listen, we've been doing these for a while, and folks have come to expect them. We put 2 out a month, and we're going to do that through March. And, we always like to ask our Spin guests to share kind of what happened in the on the water last year.
So I work a lot with Project Healing Waters, and so I run the program at Quantico Marine Corps Base in Virginia. And December was a fantastic outing. We had 82 folks at Harmon's Luxury Cabins that Quantico hosted out there, and about 60 of them were wounded veterans. The rest were support personnel. Everybody got on some fish. The weather was nice to us and everything. As for my own fishing, not so much. Just been really busy volunteering and working.
Yeah, got it. And, as it gets colder, it always drives us to the vise. What have you been tying up?
I tie a lot of classic wet flies, and my favorite are probably soft hackles and flimps. So I tie a lot of those, and I'm really starting to get into midges as well.
Very neat. Yeah, it's funny. I just pulled out Dave Hughes's book and Alan McGee's books over the holidays. Yeah.
Talking about books, Sylvester Nems and Pete Heide and Jim Leisenring have really, really had a profound influence on my fishing and on my tying, actually. I went from tying, everything with any type of material to pretty much just sticking to soft hackles and natural materials.
Yeah, very, very neat. Yeah, that makes me think about when I go up and fish around State College. They have a great soft hackle selection of feathers.
Oh, yeah.
At TCO Fly Shop, and so I always get the hook up there.
Right on.
Yeah. And so, folks, we bring a tip, and I know Jim's tip is going to be about dubbing, and we're going to talk about dubbing in his tip a little bit, but then, remember that we're going to drop a link to his video in the show notes, and it'll be on the Norvice YouTube page. So tell us a little bit about your tips for dubbing loops, Jim.
So, I've been doing dubbing for quite some time. It's what my business was first started with was, alpaca dubbing. And in doing that and in learning more and more about different natural fibers and different types of dubbing medium, what I found was that a lot of new tyers tend to have some difficulty when it gets to tying or using the dubbing loop. And I was looking at how they were doing it, and I just thought, there's got to be a better way. So I just kind of developed, I probably didn't develop it. Somebody I'm sure has already figured it out, but, I just started doing it, this technique. I just, loop the thread around my pinky and support the other thread with some fingers and try and use my materials hand to do all of the supporting work in my tying hand just to feed the dubbing loop. You'll really be able to see it on the video, but it's a very simple tip, but it's quite effective and efficient.
Yeah, because the dubbing loops can be humbling, and I'm really curious too. Tell me a little bit about why you like alpaca as a dubbing material.
Oh wow, because of the versatility. So when I first found it, my wife and I were at a farmer's market, and we just happened across this lady who was selling soap and a bag of fur, and being a tyer, I was like, oh, I got to check this out. So anyway, long story short was we got to know the people very well that had the alpaca farm, and we started a business called Fiberflies Dubbing. And it just turned out that alpaca, and you've probably seen it marketed as Vincoon or llama. They're all in the same camelid family. But it just turns out that type of material has a lot of benefits, for the tyer. One, it's got a staple length of about 3 inches, so it's got long fibers you can do a lot with. And I'll tell you, the length of the fiber really, really helps when you're using the Norvice and the rotary function on the Norvice to spin dubbing onto the thread. It's really a benefit there. Two, it's each one of the fibers has individual pockets of air in it, so it's it's semi-hollow and it can float real well. If you chop it up, then it grabs air bubbles and makes your nymphs look like they're actual bugs emerging, because it holds that little air bubble, kind of like their gas bubble as the bugs coming up. And I guess three, is just the natural colors. There's 22 different natural colors of alpaca, so not a whole lot of dyeing if you don't want to get into the bright colors.
Yeah, and I would imagine too, there's probably a nice oil on it too, that if you wanted for dry flies, it would probably be pretty nice, right?
Actually, there is not. There's no natural lanolin on the animal, but since each fiber is semi-hollow and has those air pockets, I'm usually good for about 10 or 12 drifts before I have to shake it off and dry it out. And that's without putting any floating on it. So yeah, there's no oils or anything. It's just naturally water repellent.
Yeah, that's really neat. And talking about the staple length, I just think about like when you're dubbing with hair fur, it takes a while to make a 3-inch long dubbing noodle.
Yeah.
So, and I imagine too, since you're a tire, you're probably going to be on the show circuit. Where can folks find you if they want to meet you in person, maybe check out some alpaca and have you demonstrate your time tip in person?
Oh, sure. So here in a couple of weeks, June 14th and 15th, or January 14th and 15th, I will be at the Virginia Fly Fishing and Wine Festival, right next to the Norvise booth. And I'll have my own booth there, Fiberflies dubbing, and I'm teaching a class there. In February, the end of February, I'll be out at Mesquite, Texas, doing the Texas Fly Fishing and Brew Fest. And sometimes I go up to New Jersey for the fly fishing show, but I haven't the last year or two. Not sure if I'm going to go up there or not, but I don't know. Wherever Tim wants me to go, I'll go. But other than that, I really tend to stick with those two.
Yeah, got it. And, if folks want to follow you, you said you're really mostly active on Facebook. You want to let folks know kind of your website and Facebook. And then I think you also do special live stream events too, right?
Yeah. So on Facebook, look for Fiberflies Dubbing. And once you like that page, you'll get notified. Every Thursday, I do live tying. It's a buddy of mine. We're both retired Marines, and we just kind of do this bugs and bourbon. So pretty much we sip some brown liquor and tie some flies and have a good old time having conversation with the folks that are watching. It's usually pretty informative and entertaining.
Yeah, and I'll drop a link to your website and I'll drop your Facebook link in the show notes.
Okay, sounds great. Yeah, fiberfliesdubbing.com is the store. And then, Facebook is Fiberflies Dubbing. I'd certainly appreciate that.
Yeah, you bet. And want to also thank our friends at Norvise for sponsoring the series. And remember, folks, that when this piece drops, click on the link in the show notes. It'll take you right to Jim's tip on the Norvise YouTube page. And if you're going to be in Doswell in a couple weeks, you owe it to yourself to head over and check out the Norvise booth and visit with Jim and Tim and all the folks. And also down in Mesquite at the end of February. And folks, I hope all of you had a Happy New Year. Happy New Year, everybody. Happy New Year, Jim.
Yeah, thanks. You too, buddy.